Welcome to the session on Decode Genuine. Distinguished ladies and attendees, greetings from War India. Let me first wish all of you and your dear ones the best of health and safety. I want to thank Dr. Harold DeCosta, Rohit Srivastava, Nishchay Kanpal, Kaushik Pandya, President FETA, and leaders from ASSERT, Computer Dealers Association of Nellore District, Andhra Pradesh, Confederation Association, Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry, Federation of Information Technology Association, Gujarat, and CMDA Pune for the support to invite their members to join this virtual event. Friends, digitization brings opportunity across the industries and are growing at the speed of without boundaries. Companies the world over are looking for partners which are trustworthy, follow the right standards, and possess the capabilities to offer world-class services. Today's security threats have expanded in their scope and seriousness. We have seen many use cases where there were certain the link between the detected malware and criminal organizations, for which malware in pirated software can be a lucrative vector for cyber attacks. One of the hidden costs of using pirated software is the likelihood of encountered nasty, unwanted code either in the software itself via code that can get downloaded or installed along with it, or on PCs with pirated software installed on them. Much of this malware is created by criminal organizations with illegal financial gain, data theft, espionage, or other item in mind. All of the world, threat actors take advantage of security vulnerabilities and encrypt data belonging to all sorts of organizations, from private business to healthcare facilities and governments. A report states that 37% of all business and organizations were hit by ransomware. And out of all, 32% paid the ransom but recovered only 65% of their data. Hence, genuine software offers built-in antivirus, anti-malware, and anti-spam features that help you maintain compliance while keeping pace with industry standards, data privacy rules, and Microsoft software license terms, building confidence with all people, with all people and companies you encounter. We learn more during the session, 2-hour session, where we learn from the experts from Microsoft, cyber expert, ethical hackers on the risk involved by using non-genuine software. Now I would like to introduce Mr. Rohit Srivastava to offer his presentation. The presentation is based on cyber criminals are focusing more than ever on small business, using non-genuine software to gain access to networks. Presentations from the leaders from Microsoft and experts into security. There'll be live demo on how non-genuine software opens the door to unlimited amounts of risk. With this, now I will request Mr. Rohit Srivastava to offer his presentation. So let me introduce about Rohit Srivastava. Rohit Srivastava is a recipient of Microsoft Most Valued Professionals MVP award in the domain of enterprise security and a multifaceted professional with experience in cybersecurity, enterprise security, secure digital transformation, and cyber warfare. He is also actively involved in advising several military agencies, law enforcement, corporate and government bodies of different countries in these fields. Rohit has designed the entire MTech program in information security that is being currently offered by the Pune University. He is also a visiting faculty at several A-grade institutions such as IITs, IIMs, Symbiosis, etc. He is a licensed member at first.org, where its responsibilities include licensing between certs of different countries and companies. Welcome, Rohit.
What happens is, in case of these kind of an attack where a binary is installed by a third party, there is something called as a root certificate. The root certificate is the parent certificate. Any child certificate issued by this root certificate will be trusted in the system. They will not be saying that, okay, the certificate which you have sent out is not a valid certificate and I will give you a warning or an error or something. There you will get the validity and a green signal that, okay, the certificate is perfectly fine. Deepak, can you allow the user to edit? Yes. So this, although not very popularly known, and I'm sure you will not find this information in most of the places, but this kind of an attack is very well active on internet, and where they install a malicious certificate for you. Let me just quickly share the screen in the meanwhile. Has the screen loaded for you guys?
No.
Not yet, Rohit.
Not yet.
Looks like the recording starting in the middle of the session caused some confusion.
Disruption, I guess.
Yeah.
Deepak, can you try giving rights to Rohit?
Yes. I'll make you host.
Yeah, that'll be good actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So we were talking about the SSL certificate issue. And now what we will do is we will run through a quick demo to see how does this thing happen. And when you actually download a exe from an unknown source, what is the method by which the attacker gains access to your system? So to make it easy and presentation ready, what I've done is created a small video of it, which would be easy to run through. Okay. So in this video, there are two files. One is called as putty.exe, which is genuine, and one is called as infected putty, in which we have infected it with a malware. Now, if you see this, the infected file is just a little bit bigger than the actual file. I would request others not to fiddle out with the screen, because that will make it easier for the presentation to run through. Deepak, can you clean the annotations? Okay, so once you see this exe, there are two parts of the exe. One is the malicious one and one is a non-malicious one. By the size, you will not find any big difference. But if you watch out carefully, there is a digital signature tab in the actual file, which is not available in the or rather the malicious file. Why? Because the people who have created this, they do not have the actual certificate to sign the binary. And code signing certificate is not an easy thing to get. So then their exe will not be trusted exe. But now that on this particular machine to run the test, I have disabled antivirus. So I will see how it works ahead. So what we do is we do a check of network traffic on the system. I have decided a port 4444 where I'm sending my malicious traffic. There is no traffic happening right now. I open the regular putty.exe, downloaded from trusted site, no error. I download the untrusted one, and there is a connection created. Okay. So left hand side, the blue screen, the victim screen we have seen. On right, the attacker's machine. We will now create the attack ready. So we are using a very popular open source platform called as Metasploit console. So Metasploit framework will activate and be ready to listen to any attack coming in. Now, In the blue machine, the victim machine, we got the exe somehow from somewhere. It could be the malicious site, it could be the darknet, it could be the torrent, or somehow we got it. The interesting thing is execution of that exe on the end machine, which we have in any case created, and the intent of downloading that exe file was to run it. So we downloaded it and we ran it. On the attacker machine, the attacker is setting up the whole platform, creating an attack port, attack server, and then exploit. Now that exploit is running, the attacker is listening for anybody who's running this exe. On the attack or the victim side, we run the infected exe again, and we see that there's a connection created. The connection is established. On the black screen, you can see the commands being typed right now. The very first one is sysinfo. It tells you that it is a victim, machine name is victim. It's a Windows 10. You do a get UID command where you get the username. It says that the username is Alok. Now on the remote machine, the attacker is typing a command calculator.exe. What would happen? The calculator.exe will actually open on the victim machine. There you go. The attacker is now running notepad.exe. Notepad opens up here. This is possible wherein a attacker can actually run anything on the end machine. Now look at this. The attacker will now create a command prompt and will get a command prompt on his machine, which is not visible to you. Using the command prompt, attacker is creating a folder called as infected folder. Right now, it's not there on the desktop below the edge icon. Suddenly, you will see a folder getting created. Here's a new folder. The attacker now runs a command. So activity is done here. Attacker is now uploading a file onto it. Attacker is uploading a hack.exe on top of that system, desktop, infected folder. Now, if you double click the infected folder, you will see the new file created inside it. So that's how the attacker has complete control on your machine to execute anything of his choice. And now you can decide, or you can take a guess what all activities the attacker can do on the machine. I'll show you a few more things here. What else are the commands which an attacker can run? The attacker can run commands like enumerate desktop, get desktop, standard stuff. Keyboard send. The attacker can send the keyboard strokes to the end machine. Key event. He can run a keystroke logger or keylogger, as we commonly call as, using the same one malicious exe the user downloaded and ran on the machine. It can do screenshot, desktop, check mouse event, send a click or a movement of mouse. Not only that, the attacker can also go ahead and do record of the audio from the microphone. The attacker can do a webcam chat. It can list the web camera you have. It can take a photo or run a continuous webcam stream of the user till the end. That's the capability of the attacker just by making you run one exe which he wanted on your machine. This is a live control of your machine by the attack machine. So what's the conclusion we take out from here? The conclusion is know the difference. Know the difference between a pirated software and a genuine software, like the digital signature file which we saw. Know the perils of using a pirated software. Get genuine software only. Report the piracy and make sure you always have a very good antivirus installed on the machine so that most of these attacks are taken care. Just to do this demonstration, we had disabled the antivirus on the Windows machine to execute it, because otherwise it would have detected it. But that's of now. the virus versus antivirus race is like Tom and Jerry race, where every day there's a new thing coming up which may or may not be getting detected by the antivirus. So make sure that your antivirus is good and strong. What not to do: avoid visiting the shady websites, not only for the piracy, but for any other purpose. Never download any exe from an unknown source. Make sure you have validated the exes, the binaries installed and running on your machine. Avoid torrent download and avoid dark web. That goes without saying. With that, I would take it to an end. If anybody has any question, I would be available on the chat for some time, for maybe next 10 odd minutes, and would be happy to help out on the chat. Deepak, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rohit, for sharing a wonderful presentation. You can post your questions and we will love to respond to your query. Now we'll have the presentation from Microsoft. With this, I would like to invite Nishchay Kandapal, Product Specialist Commercial. So about Nishchay has been working in the field of technology implementation and education for more than 13 years now and has trained more than 50,000 educators, doctors, and partners in commercial sector in India on effective use of technology in respective sectors. His expertise lies in commercial technology for optimizing business process for enterprises, edtech, and e-learning intelligence ads. Welcome, Nishchay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deepak Sahu, and thank you, dear audience, for joining us today and allowing us an opportunity to connect with all of you over here and share some of the things that we believe can be useful to you, your families, and the people whom you are connected to in the business perspective. So a couple of things. I hope my screen is visible. The things are there currently in your view. Now, one thing that I'll talk about myself. I'm working as a product specialist right now for Microsoft India, and I'm basically my specialty is in deploying the right kind of tools and technologies for different sectors. So be it commercial, be it education, or any specific commercial segment, IT, military, or state government. So I've worked with a couple of state governments as well. I have delivered a lot of keynotes in US, UK, Netherlands, and other parts of the world. And one thing that I try to tell is what just Rohit has shown. And that is one of the most beautiful demos that I have seen. And thank you so much, Rohit, for actually enlightening us on what are the things and what are the challenges that can happen. I understand that what you shared was a bit technical. So all of us might not have related to the things, but what you have showed is actually the base of what happens at the back end. Now, one thing that I'll talk about is what is the current landscape in India? What are the things that are happening? Okay, so first thing is the world is actually going through a lot of changes. There are a lot of changes in terms of the way we work, in terms of what we are doing, what we are thinking of, what our priorities are. In our personal lives, we are doing everything virtually now. So right from our children learning on online classes, we watching movies and entertainment shows, any kind of internet shopping, the bill payments, different kind of other transactions that we are doing, they are all being done virtually. And this pandemic, what it has done actually for all of us in India, I'm hearing a lot of background noise at some people's end. So if in case you are not doing anything, you can just mute yourself. Thank you so much. So now what we are doing is we are going hybrid, we are going virtual, we are going online, we are doing work remotely through our homes, different locations. We are not going to offices directly. We are going sometimes and sometimes not. But these are actually, this is actually posing multiple challenges to all the people, to all the businesses whom we are connected to. And this is one of the most important things that we think are of importance for us today to understand. Now, moving forward, I'll show you this particular slide in front of you. And this is actually one of the most important things that you can see in today's task, in today's world. some bank servers being hacked for 12 crores, 84 crores. In fact, there was a quote from our late CDS, General Bipin Rawat, who said that during the pandemic, the cyber crimes have gone up by 500%. And that's a massive, massive raise. It's a massive rise in the number of cyber attacks that are happening. Even Interpol report that you see at the right-hand side, it says the same about cyber attacks after COVID-19. And it's just not in the banks and in certain private institutions, which we call as big tech. SMBs or small and medium businesses, which constitute somewhere around 88% businesses in India, they are also being targeted with multiple security threats like ransomware, malware, different kind of viruses, keyloggers, and all those stuff. Now, if you see in these red highlighted portions, you can see that there are multiple things that are happening, right from extortion, digital extortion, ransomware, malware injection, and utilizing somebody's systems resources for own data mining purposes by the cyber criminals. All of this is happening right now. And unfortunately in India, right now, the situation is that we see less than what is actually the scenario. We are mostly unaware or untouched by the perils of cybersecurity that are currently the world is facing. In fact, we are just seeing that there is a war going on right now. And the first thing that the countries did to each other was destroy their networks with the cyber attacks. And this is where you understand what is important right now for the world to understand. What you see in front of you is a checklist by Government of India, specifically MeitY, and they have ensured this checklist to be followed for any kind of applications that are being developed. Okay, and this is just one page of a 4-page checklist that is being referred or referenced by MeitY. Are these being followed? Are these being implemented across? Definitely not. And this is one of the most important things that we have to understand. We are living in a digital world also. We have a digital copy of ourselves where right everything from our likes to where do we eat our favorite food, to where do we watch the movies, what kind of movies we watch, and what are our preferences in terms of the political agenda. Everything is there on internet. And it becomes very, very important for all of us to ensure that this is protected, which unfortunately we don't do. In fact, if you do a random search on internet on what are the top 10 security passwords in India, you will be surprised. The first password is password itself. And then comes admin 123, then comes your Om Sai Ram 123, and all these God's names and my own name and date of birth, which can be easily tracked from social media. And unfortunately, this is the reality we are living in. And this is where we have to be aware, not just for ourselves and our businesses, but also for our children. Because what we are going to do, what we are going to follow is going to be taken over with the next generation. Now, what you see are the top 4 cyber threats in India. What I think most of us are aware about are malware, ransomware, drive-by downloads, but there is something called as cryptocurrency mining as well. And that is on a massive, massive raise. Specifically now, I think most of us have heard about cryptocurrency, right? Unfortunately, what is happening is we are not too much focused on these perils of cybersecurity. And unfortunately, this loophole is being targeted by the cyber criminals right now. You just heard the term dark web. In fact, what we see on internet, take all the social media, all the email websites, all the websites that you have visited up till now, and those will constitute less than 5%. Rest of the 95% is what we call as deep web and dark web. And dark web is a place where all sort of illegal things happen. Means you can think of any illegal thing, and that is happening on your dark web. And that becomes very core for us to understand how we are being targeted by these cyber threats, including malware, ransomware. And at the right hand side, if you can see, this is actually a screenshot from one of the ransomwares, which actually talks what kind of consequences the businesses can face. Now, you can see that the ransom that is being asked is in digital currency, which unfortunately cannot be tracked. And these are the worlds that we are living in. Ransom and digital currency, in case if you want to understand, there are a whole lot of different things. And I do motivate you, I would request you to in fact go to internet and search about cryptocurrency mining, because in fact, if it is not targeting the resources, your data, your internet banks, it is targeting the machines on which you are working on. And this becomes very important. Now, in India, we have this one attitude that it's not for me, ये मेरे लिए नहीं है. ये तो उन businesses के लिए, उन लोगों के लिए जो बहुत ज़्यादा transactions करते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा काम करते हैं. So for me, I am okay. I just do some bit of social media. I just do a bit of emailing and just a bit of communication with my office colleagues. That's it. Now, unfortunately, this is the biggest loophole. I just told you about the passwords. Now, another thing that you can see is the people who are being targeted are not these big techs, because they invest a lot in their cybersecurity. They pay in billions to generate something called as the highest prime number. And what this does is they become more secure compared to what these SMBs are. So these small and medium businesses, which constitute 88% in India, they are actually affected. And so much so to the fact that you can see 92% of SMBs were targeted last year in 2021. When I say last year, it was just 2021. And just to remind you, 2021 was the time when people were actually sitting in their homes. They were trying to understand what are the challenges. At these times, cybersecurity people were really active. And you can see small and medium businesses, 3 in 4 SMBs in India were affected, resulting in 85% loss of customer information, which is considered as very sensitive. And this is not going to stop at any particular point of time. You might be hearing terms like NFTs, blockchain. You might be hearing, you have already heard about cryptocurrency. All of these are going to increase. Now, there is another term where we are talking about metaverse. Metaverse is a digital world where we will be taking our digital identity and we'll be talking to people. We'll be doing businesses, transactions. We'll be purchasing digital land and we'll be investing in it. So this is not going to stop. This is going to increase. So what can we do? What is it that we suggest? So security challenges are many. In fact, if you take the data points, there are multiple security threats that we have. So 80% of managers say that they expect more flexible work from home policies after the pandemic. And employees want best of both worlds. 73% of employees want flexible remote work options. And at the same time, they want to work collaboratively as well. So I want to work at my own time. And 67% of employees say, I want to work, even though I want to work separately, I want to work with my colleagues on different projects, on different work. So this is a paradox. And this is strange. And in fact, this is where the security challenges actually come forward. And how much of security challenges are there? So if you can see this particular data point, so a phishing study that was conducted by Microsoft and Terra Nova, it said that 25% of employees clicked on a link, which is a phishing simulation. That means if everyone in a 200% company received the same phishing link, almost 50% or 50 people would have clicked on it. On top of that, in the same study, 71% of those same employees proceeded to give away their passwords unintentionally. And just think of the damage that this can cause to these businesses. My whole business, the customer list, the client list, the invoices that I have made can be actually there on internet, which can be bought for $1, 50, 60 rupees, just a meager amount of this. And in addition to this, Microsoft actually blocked over 13 billion malicious suspicious mails, out of which more than 1 billion were just URLs set up for explicit purpose of launching a phishing credential attack so that they can steal your password. And statistics like these actually show that in the world of hybrid work, businesses need to be increasingly vigilant about their information. And there are multiple reports. You can refer to the sources which I have attached in the slide. or you can just do a random internet search. This will lead you. So what this motivated us to do, when I say us, Microsoft, in terms of the products and solutions, so we did a couple of things. So first, we have something called as zero trust security now in our products, specifically Windows 11, which is just launched. Now, with zero trust approach, a zero trust model is based on the premise that no user or device anywhere can have access until safety is verified. And that was what Rohit shared earlier. So any victim machine can be targeted just by sharing corrupt binary or cookies. This can be done easily. Now, apart from it, zero trust mentality is more resilient, it is consistent, and it is responsive to new attacks. And if you look at these three things, verify explicitly. So this principle means always authenticating and authorizing based on all the available data points, including user identity, location, device health, service or workload data classification, and anomalies. Use the least privileged access. This means limiting user access with just in time and just enough access. And third is assuming breach, means operating in a manner that minimizes the potential impact of security breach. This can be accomplished actually by verifying end-to-end encryption and using analytics to get the visibility, drive threat detection, and improve the defenses. So these are a couple of things that we are implementing right now. Another thing that we are trying to do is how do we meet the increased need for agility and resiliency without sacrificing the security? So these are some of the principles that Microsoft follows to ensure that businesses across are not targeted, or at least are least targeted, or are safeguarded against the most common targets that we see. So much so to the fact that we can claim now that Windows is 99.9% secure. So you might have heard about security challenges like WannaCry. Not a single Windows 10 PC across the globe was impacted because of this WannaCry ransomware. And that is a huge achievement for any of the security solutions across. Now, when we talk about security, the built-in security, the one thing that our customers need to understand is Windows 11 and related products are built on zero trust security principle. And we are continuing this to the businesses that we follow, to the businesses that are using this. Now, another thing that I wanted to highlight your attention to is it's not just about one security, like going to a particular website or not installing an application. It is about 360 coverage. How do we cover the security environment in such a way that users are not affected by any of the challenges? So it can be from chip to cloud. It can be with devices which work out of the box, which are enabled by default. How do we customize to meet specific security requirements, and how do we merge it with the existing app and infrastructure? So these are some of the things that we have focused on. Another thing is these are some of the pillars upon which the teams are actually developing new features, new security features, and weaving them around and sewing it in Windows 11. Now, why I'm talking about Windows 11 is because once you use a device, OS, application, and everything, they are all interrelated. The data that you are working on, the websites you are accessing is actually running on a browser, which is installed on an operating system, which is working on a particular chip, which is built or embedded into the hardware. So everything has to be actually taken care of. So how do we do this? One thing is that we are very clear in terms of what are the challenges, what are the things that need to be taken care of specifically for these kind of situations. Windows 11 actually raises the security baseline, and there are multiple challenges in security. So what we have done is we have enabled something called as security by default. Means if you are using Windows 11, before even booting up of the device completely, security would be enabled. So there is no boot sector virus, there is no malware injection that can be done even before the OS launches itself. And generally what happens is we install antiviruses and we are thinking that we are safe and secure. हमारा तो काम हो गया. One thing that we have to understand is actually antiviruses work on these platforms, these OSs, so they have to be secure first. The applications work on the OSs, so they have to be secure. So we have something called as virtualization based security. We have something called as secured core PCs. Virtualization based security means we use the virtualization capabilities to provide additional protection to the critical subsystems and data. We use secured core PCs to ensure that the identity protection, data protection, hardware and software protection is right there from the time the customer starts the device and boots it up. And all of these things are there covering all the aspects of the device, right from the chip to the data which is stored on cloud. Now, this might feel, okay, we are promoting a couple of things, but it's not so. In fact, if you see globally, one thing everybody's aligned to is 90% of the decision makers actually said in a survey that outdated hardware actually leaves the organizations more open to attacks. And this is where we want to focus for our organization. So this is where you will see hardware is the first place where we are targeting. We are ensuring that there is no damage. There is the least possible amount of damage. So we have included something called as minimum configuration requirement of TPM 2.0. TPM is Trusted Platform Module. So in a layman's language, Trusted Platform Module jo hota hai, what it does is it actually ensures that there is no tweaking or customization in the boot sequence, in the OS sequence that can trigger any kind of malicious activity, which can ultimately hurt the user. So right from the device hardware level, we are ensuring that with the inclusion of TPM 2.0. And in fact, if you have been purchasing devices for past 1 or 2 years, you might be noticing that it is there now in most of the commercial devices by default. Another thing is how do we ensure this operating system? So we have something called as built-in advanced encryption and data protection with BitLocker. And so much so that not only the devices, the hard disk drive, solid state drive, but also pen drives can be encrypted. So you don't have to worry about how the pen drives would be safe and secure. Your memory cards, external hard drives, network drives can be encrypted using the BitLocker. Another thing is robust network and system security enhancements. So including new DNS and TLS protocol versions, end-to-end protections for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth enhancements, new ways to configure easily and debug quickly with the help of virtual private network and Windows Defender firewall platform, including something called as built-in Windows security, for which the user don't have to pay any sum of money. It is built in Windows 11. It is updated time to time with critical updates, and the user can be free of any kind of headache that they have to update or they have to pay on a yearly basis for a security solution. In fact, we are so much confident that we gave to the topmost security agencies to test Windows security, Windows Defender on Windows devices. After that, it has actually replaced some of the top players like Symantec, Norton, and the built-in security is in fact much better rated for Windows devices now. And you can go on internet, do a random search and look for it. What we request is if you are using these devices, update with the critical data time to time. Critical update should be there running at all the times. What about the application? So generally we have a habit that as Rohit was saying, so we install counterfeit applications. Now what these counterfeit applications do is in Hindi, there is a word called samajik, I am forgetting that term. Samaj ke liye kaam karne hai, seva karna. These cyber criminals are not doing any kind of samaj seva. They are actually tying up with these black markets. They are injecting codes, malicious codes into these freewares, malwares, and they are offering it freely, putting it up on internet. And what this does is, even if your data is not stolen, your device your devices, your resources, computing resources are being utilized. So if I'm buying a machine of 16 GB RAM, if I'm paying for 1 GB internet per second, 1 Gbps per second per minute. So what you will see is when I'm booting up the device, my device works very slowly. It is not working as 16 GB RAM. And when you see the network utilization, the computing utilization, it is being used by some unknown process. What is that unknown process? That unknown process is actually the malicious code that is running at the background, which is using your computing resources for doing the data mining for somebody else, for some cyber criminal. So you are thinking, oh, my system is running perfectly fine. The OS is working fine. The application is working fine. But at the back end, what is happening is your system is not working up to the mark. It's just like paying for a car and having two people sitting at the back every time you are traveling. And you for the rest of the family members, you have to do a cab. It's the same way. And on top of it, how do we safeguard the identity and privacy for the users? How do we ensure that the passwords, the biometrics, in fact, you would see that we are using facial recognition and your fingerprint recognition as well to help the users log in now. This built-in device security can ensure that users can remove password from their Microsoft account. And they can use Microsoft Authenticator app, Windows Hello, and something called as Fast Identity Online Security Key, FIDO. A smart card verification code that can be sent to their phone like OTP or something, or email. And with this, they can eliminate passwords and they can make their system much more secure in case if they want to. So these things are already there. They are included and by default enabled in Windows 11 devices without any additional cost. When I say without any additional cost, these are built in by default. This is our commitment to the security part. Now, why I'm talking about this so much is because of this particular point, which is the cloud data. हमारा जो ज़्यादातर data होता है, that is on cloud. We have a digital copy of all the work, all the tasks, the business, everything on cloud. And this is what is being targeted. So not just the device, but also the data using Azure Active Directory, MDM tools, all different conditional access and compliance tools. We can ensure that the data is safe and secure, and it is there at the time when you want to back up and restore. It is there for the customers. It's just the matter of prioritizing. So what exactly we need to do is we need to ensure what are the things that can be done. So these are a couple of things that I wanted to tell, but this all goes in vain if we install something called as Counterfeit on top of it. Okay, so we think, and in fact, this is one of the biggest challenges that we are facing. People get pirated applications and then they invest on security solutions like antiviruses, which is one of the most naive things that I can say. Now, what this happens is, so I am installing all the fancy security cameras at my home to ensure that nobody enters. And I forgot, no, I've not forgot. In fact, I have, by my own choice, I have ripped open the door and kept it somewhere else, just so that I don't have to pay for the application. And this is where Counterfeit actually poses the biggest threat. It creates a backdoor for these cybersecurity, for these cyber criminals, for these operators, so that they can operate or they can make any changes into the domain at any particular point of time. So what can we do? So first thing is we ensure that we do not, if we are worried about the security, we do not activate or use anything which is coming from these dark web and deep web websites. This is one of the most troubling things that we are seeing. What this does is actually posing a threat not just to the devices, but data, different devices that you are working in the same net, and the identity. So you might have heard that people's webcams are being targeted. Sorry. So everything is being targeted because of these cyber criminals. what this actually does for the customer is, as a customer, I think that my system is running on a safe antivirus and it is safe from each and everything. But unfortunately, at the back door, there are open routes which can be used by these malwares, these cyber criminals, for any particular activity, be it data intrusion, malicious activities, or resource mining. So all of that can be done very, very easily. Now, how do you prevent yourself and your businesses? How do you ensure that the people who are associated with you for long term, you give them the right solution? There are multiple things. One thing that I'll tell is the digital crimes are much easier to do than the physical crimes. And all the criminals of the world who are doing any kind of trafficking, be it drug trafficking or anything, they have actually come into the business of this counterfeit, because it is one of the most neglected areas. First, every country does not have the rules to support the IT teams, IT applications for the kind of what to say, punishments that are required on creating these kind of counterfeit copies. And because of this, there are a lot of stuff that can be easily downloaded and used across, and people will never know. So how do you understand that you don't have something which can give you troubles at a later stage? If you are buying from someone, if the price is too good to be true, that is one of the biggest red flags that you can think of. If the software is coming from some kind of file sharing application, some kind of attachment, ensure that you get it checked first in a sandbox. If the keys are sold separately from the software, or if they come in separate bundles where there are multiple keys which you can use, that is one of the most important things to understand. Packaging, if you are buying a particular package, if it doesn't meet the brand guidelines, if you see that it is completely not what you are used to see on the different areas, please make sure and get it checked. Do not overlook. How do you get the kind of key? If it is not working in the first time, that is another red flag for you. If the packaging is different, if there are separate files that you need to download to activate that particular application, software, or OS, or if there is a device which is already coming with pre-activated, which is giving you certain messages, you need to ensure to check it for counterfeit. And that is one of the most important things that we can tell for you to get and ensure that you are not running on counterfeit. Now, since one of these things is to ensure that the businesses with whom we are connected to, they do not get affected. These businesses are actually some of the people whom we are connected on day in and out, and we will be connected for multiple years, not just for one or two times. That is why it becomes of prime importance that we do not share anything that can harm these users, that can harm their businesses, and that becomes one of the most important things. Now, what are some of the cybersecurity tips that we can give? So ensure that the devices are up to date. Go private. Do not keep your networks, your devices open. Have passwords, have strong passwords. There are updated passwords that needs to be, there are passwords that needs to be updated time to time. Okay, so we have been using passwords which were created when we were in school. So that should not be the case. Update them every 6 months is what we would recommend. And do not share it to other people and forget about it. If you are sharing it for some purpose, once the work is done, change it immediately. If you are using devices on a network, use only work-related device. Do not connect other devices or untrusted devices of other people onto it. The network that you are using, even if it is on a mobile hotspot, okay, ensure that you are using WPA keys. And genuine is the key here. Whether it is your mobile, your handheld, or the laptop or the PC that you are using, use only genuine. That is one of the key components for us to ensure. Now, how can you figure out what I've just shared? So you can actually go to this website, aka.ms/how to tell, to understand how globally you can identify. And for India, we have aka.ms/only genuine. And if you want to understand more about the security points that I was just talking about, so we have something called as Security Intelligence Report, or SIR, www.microsoft.com/SIR. And you can use this very well for your own benefit and for your customers. Now, what we are doing, because I believe there are multiple queries about what Microsoft as a company is doing to ensure that this is not floating across. So we have multiple programs running in the market right now, which is actually some of these are like KPOC, where there is a global online monitoring, enforcement and intelligence. There is an Amazon brand registry where any kind of collaboration with Amazon, the legal team actually takes down the listings by any kind of infringers. We have a GEM campaign. We are sharing advisory letters to the customers, resellers, and everyone who wants to understand what are the risks of non-genuine. We are actually associating with the IT association, and we have a do not engagement motion as well. So for any kind of repeat offenders. So since I think we have already the IT association presidents with us, so I'll just hand it over to Dr. Deepak Sahu. So if we can call upon the.
Yeah, we have leaders from IT association, starting from Tushar Parikh, is the chairman Association of System Integrated Retailers Associate Technology, ASAT, Maharashtra. And we have Hitesh Patni, President, Federation of Information Technology Association, Gujarat. And Mangesh Balero, President, CMDA Pune. K.A. Prabhakar, President, Conclave ITA, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. And Deepak Bamishetty, President, Computer Dealers Association of Nellore District, Sidon. And we have Mr. Kausik Pandya, President, FETA. And we have Naveen Gupta, Secretary, FETA, are having with us. Yani, over to Nishchay.
So thank you so much for joining us, all the esteemed dignitaries in today's interaction. And we are really very thankful for all of you to give us a chance to share this to the teams you are connected to. So Mr. Tushar Parikh, Mr. Deepak, Mr. K.A. Prabhakar, Mr. Hitesh, and Mr. Kaushik, thank you a lot. And one thing that we would want is if these informations, what Rohit has shared, what we are sharing, if these can be percolated to the teams when you are connecting, because we believe you are the flag bearers of the associations that we have, right? So just ending on a couple of quick notes. So we have taken a couple of quick actions, like if there are counterfeit keys, so those will be disabled. Those are, we have already started disabling those. So the people who are using counterfeit, they need to ensure that they have the proper invoices and everything with them. And in case if you're wondering about any kind of resources, so these are some of the websites that you can refer to. So this is the website ak.ms/only-genuine that I was talking about. So you can find out the risks of unlicensed software, the licensing basics, and how you can tell whether the tools, applications, and sources that you are referring to, those are genuine. And finally, in case if you want to have any other knowledge about the product, so we have this microsite, which is ak.ms/vChannelConnect. So you can refer to those. And this is it from my end. In case if you have any queries, so you can just put them down in the chat, and we'll make sure to address those. Thanks a lot. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you so much. Over to you, Deepak. Thank you.
Thank you, Nishchay, for sharing a wonderful presentation. I'm sure that there are many takeaways from your presentation, and our partner communities will take the best out of it. So with this, now it is the time for the fireside chat session. where we are going to learn on how to protect your company, personal information, and saving by using genuine software to extinguish a leading cause of cybercrime. With this, I would like to invite Dr. Harold DeCosta to join me in the fireside session. So let me introduce about Dr. DeCosta. Dr. DeCosta is President, Cybersecurity Corporation, CEO, Intelligent Quotient Security System since February 2006, and he is also the advisor of law enforcement agencies, cybercrime and international trainer, and cyber law and cyber forensics. Dr. DeCosta is expertise in investigating digital crimes, evidence collection, and cyber law. Expertise in setting up cybersecurity policies and auditing the networks. He had created awareness on cybersecurity, cyber laws, and cyber forensic for more than 5 lakh personnel in 7 countries worldwide. Dr. DeCosta had the distinction to train Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Myanmar judges on cyber forensic organized by National Judicial Academy coming under Supreme Court of India. He had worked on cyber cases related to Bollywood, MNC, banks, telecom, education, media, gas, subsidies, and various other government and corporate sector. He was on the panel of Police Academy to develop curriculum and courseware on cybercrime and digital forensic for corporates. Welcome, Dr. DeCosta.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Deepak. Thank you.
So, to start with, my question to Dr. DeCosta is, using genuine software is the first line of defense against cyber criminals. Do you agree with this statement?
Yeah, certainly. I think first and foremost, all the audience were there, a warm good evening to all of you. And Deepak, going with your question, it's very important that genuinity of the software is a must. So I go with what your question is, that we should be using the genuine software because we have a right to identify ourselves as genuine. Similarly, I think we should have a right to identify that we are using a software also which is genuine. So I go with your question. Yes, we should have genuine softwares.
So I'm sure Nishchay want to add something to it. Nishchay, can I request to add some insights?
Yeah, in fact, just to add on to Dr. DeCosta's perspective. So yes, we do emphasize on this fact that genuine is the way, because I think Rohit just gave us a wonderful demo on how these operators, cybersecurity operators, can actually use these backdoors to exploit the position or the victim. And the first loophole is where we do not use genuine, because as we say, there is nothing for free in this world. This is one of the key for us to understand, specifically when we are working in the digital world. So right from the time when you are using devices, be it any kind of device, handheld, mobile, tablet, or a PC, anything that you are using, ensure that the first line of defense is the strongest, which is the base. And the base has to be genuine, at the least. And that is where we would definitely emphasize. Specifically coming from Microsoft, what I can talk about is, we have seen that there are a couple of people who do not actually think on the seriousness of how it can hurt or their businesses can be affected because of these cyber crimes. One of the things that we have seen is where people actually do not focus on the genuine, and they fall prey to these counterfeit and fakes. And this is where they come back to us saying that it is working exactly the same way, but we got trapped. And this is where the first line of defense, ensuring that the first line of defense is the strongest, which is your base, which is the application. It has to be genuine. And that is what I would like to conclude with. And over to you, Deepak. Thanks.
Thank you, Nishchay. So if I can ask Dr. DeCosta, what are some common type of cybersecurity challenges that business in India can face? Can you share some of the live case that happened recently?
Yeah, in fact, during this COVID time, there have been work from home. In fact, we have been having a hybrid model. And because of this, organizations had to face a lot of issues, a lot of problems. In fact, when I talk about it, I would like to share a couple of cases, where the organization became a victim of using counterfeit, duplicate software just to save some small amount of money. In fact, one of the case what I would like to mention is about a hospital. In fact, it was a hospital which used to take care of the COVID patients. And what this hospital had, they had a network of more than about 150 machines connected. And they did not have their OS, operating system, updated. And then what the OS, what they had, even their maintenance contract was over. And so what happened was that they had a ransomware attack. And because of this ransomware attack, what happened was that this COVID-related patients' data, which was there with them, all of this was encrypted. Well, in fact, under the preview of digital, we all would like to become paperless. And this hospital had a management which was very volatile, young generation management. So they also tend to be paperless. And because of which, most of the documents related to the COVID patients, what they had, including their follow-ups, including their medical diagnosis, so on and so forth, was there on the system. And these files were basically encrypted. And there was a ransom attack which took place on few of their machines, which eventually passed on to their network. And then later on, it was just a mayhem. It went to such an extent that this hospital never knew what type of a diagnosis, what type of a medicine, what type of the advisories they have given to the patients, and they started running from pillar to post. In fact, I got a call, in the later part of the evening at about 8:39. They said, "Okay, we don't have this. This information is there in the system, and we had a ransomware attack." So while auditing the network, early morning next day, the system was audited. It was found the ransom attack took place because they did not have their operating system updated from time to time, number one. Number two, they believed that if a software is working fine yesterday, today also it will work fine, which is not the case, because at the blink of an eye, there is some new threats which is taking place on the internet space. Number three, they felt that why to invest in technology? They had that type of a laxity in their mind, but never knew that what problems they faced eventually was completely out of control. In fact, I would say that playing with the life of the patients was something the healthcare industry could least get to be expected. And later on, when the auditing of the network was done, they came out and said that what we should do, what patch we should update, how it should be done. Please tell us. We want to get it done within the next 24 hours. What they did not do in 24 months, they wanted to get in 24 hours. That was the complete, the urgency which was shown by it. So this was one of those matters which I handled during this COVID time, where the organization was completely having a laxity by which they had to face the brunt of the relatives of those patients. And of course, God forbid, nothing happened to the patients, but this could have eventually led to a catastrophic problem also. This was one of those which I had, where the organization lacks. And second, I had about a bank. And this bank also, it was a cooperative bank, but then about 15 crore rupees was siphoned out from that bank. And when the audit of their system was done, it was found that this attempt to hack their network was done from Nigeria. So the whole blame went on Nigeria. So that was the initial trend. But when the system was audited, when the report came up after 3 to 4 days, it was found that this bank, quite a healthy bank, but then about 20-year-old bank in one of the suburban districts of Maharashtra. What eventually came out was that they were having a software which were not legally in their name. So they were using counterfeit software and playing once again with the money of the deposit holders. And then what this money, 15 crore rupees approximately, which was siphoned out from their server, belonged to these poor citizens, who eventually, when they started asking the questions, At that time, the bank realized that, oh, the synergy, the weakest link, what was there with them was that they used to use a counterfeit software on a private confidential data belonging to the customers, which related to a monetary value. But then all said and done, we are not able to get that 15 crore rupees because the matter is still subjudiced, because all those investigations will take its own course of the time. But who became the victim? The bank itself became the victim, because the bank, under the RBI guidelines, now has to pay those deposit holders the money, because at the end of the day, they found that the weakest link in that system was the bank using a counterfeit software, which eventually gave a lead to a criminal, to a hacker, to have that money to be sniped out. That's what I could share about you, the number of cases what I had in the last couple of years, especially during this COVID era.
It's wonderful that, good to hear. We'll want to hear more case studies like this. But anyway, we'll move to the next question. Like, how can customer keep himself and his business safe? What are the measures to ensure digital safety? If you can throw some light on it.
Yeah. See, the customers have to be aware. See, we have to have, we say right to identify myself. I would like to be known as Harold DeCosta. I would not like to be known as a proxy Harold DeCosta. That will have an identity, a reference on my, that I would not like to be called as proxy. I would like to call by my name. Similarly, I think the first cyber hygiene practice, what the organization has to do is that they should use authentic software for their reliability. It's not for the reliability of any particular software vendor. It's for their reliability that you should use a software which is of repute. At the same time, it should be a legal one. That's point number one. Point number two, I think the time has come where the organizations, corporates, I'm not only saying organization, corporates, I'm also saying at domestic angle, even at families, at homes also, people should start using the licensed version of the software, because it has got its own number of advantages. Well, I think the previous speakers have given a toll to it at what are the advantages of it. I would just like to bring upon is that if they don't use it, their reliability is at stake. Well, there is a huge upsurge in cyber crimes. What we just read in the newspapers is just a tip of the iceberg. And what eventually happens on the ground is 10,000 times more. And when a person becomes a victim, he doesn't understand that one of those particular leads by which he has become a victim of the cybercrime is using a software which is not a legitimate one. Because by not using a legitimate software, he gives a remote access of his system to a third party who then misuses the account or misuses the system of the victim, and then tries to create a cybercrime, tries to create a fake social account, tries to make some fake bank account, try to create a fake banking, what you mean to say, fake bank account practices. So what I mean to say is that the cyber hygiene practices is a must, and that predominantly should come at the earliest, because there is a hybrid model. People are working from home, and at this result, people should understand that if they want to have cyber crimes to be minimized, if they themselves don't want to become a victim of cybercrime, and then they don't want to become a part of the media, I think the first defense is to use the legitimate softwares. And once they start using it, I can say with my practical exposure on this ground level, you have a chance that 1% of the part you could be victimized, but 99% of the part you could be safe and you could be secure. As of now, we are 10% secure. From 10 to 99%, I think it's a big leap. You cannot give that 1% more leverage. I think we have to give the leverage to that 99% where you would be secured, safe, and you can do a computing at your own reliability with your identity not being stolen. Or otherwise, I can tell you n number of issues where you could be victimized. I feel that in today's context, having a legitimate, genuine software is for the benefit of the user itself. And because of this hybrid model, it becomes more significantly important for it.
You good. And I'm sure Nishchay want to share some light on it on the digital safety. Nishchay, can I request to share some of your experience?
So I think Mr. Dr. DeCosta has summed it up very clearly, what we wanted to highlight. I'll just add on to this point that coming from Microsoft, first thing I can say is go with genuine only, no counterfeit. First thing. Second thing is be cautious about the route that you are taking. So right now we are doing everything online. Our personal lives are actually intertwined with internet like it has been never before. In fact, we are carrying these devices which can be very easily used for spyware technologies, and we are paying for these, unfortunately. So what we need to understand is that it's not just about having one thing genuine, one thing like anything. It can be a counterfeit. The whole ecosystem has to be covered under this umbrella where we do not use counterfeit or create any back channel for these cybersecurity actors. Now, some of the times people, since I'm coming from commercial category, so people actually, businesses come to me, and just before this, Dr. DeCosta was sharing one story. We have had businesses coming to us and say that we were ready, we were doing very well in terms of security analysis, detection and everything. We were paying for security solutions, yet we face these kind of challenges. So what is it that we could have done earlier? The one thing that we tell them is we tell them to get insured from every way, at least from the OS, from the application part, because these are the areas, these are the first line of defenses that can, if they are broken, then what you are doing is you are just trying to push in the water back into the dam. And that is what we don't want. The first thing is to get insured from all these kind of challenges. And this is where we would prefer you to first make that first line of defense as strong as possible, have genuine, get all the security solutions updated regularly without any delay. Because even if couple of PCs, devices on your network are not updated, they can be used to spread or target other machines into that same network. And finally, the kind of mindset that we have towards security needs to change. It's not about that security is only meant for big organizations. It is for everyone. Just like at our homes, when we leave our homes, we ensure that it is locked, even if we have a security guard at the gates of the apartment or the building, but we ensure to lock our homes safely and securely. So this is what we need to bring. This hygiene also needs to come into the digital environment in the businesses as well. That's it from my end. Thanks, Dr. Deepak.
Thank you, Nishchay. So we'll move to the next question, Dr. DeCosta. We often see users going for the pirated software as they are cheaper, and the customer mostly does not money-related details or banking transactions on these devices. In such a case, how can he and his business can be affected by cybercrimes?
In fact, when you're talking about this counterfeit softwares, because there have been a lot of cases which has happened in the last couple of years, and before that also it has been happening. What is basically being noticed is that people get some certain code which is available on the internet, and then they try to execute that code, maybe as a batch file or something, and then they try to install a counterfeit software on their machine. Now, what really happens is that once this counterfeit software gets installed on the machine of the victim, I would say victim only, I would not say the user, because the moment you are having a counterfeit software to be installed, you become a victim. You are no more the user of it. Within these particular batch files, in 3 to 4 cases, what I observed was that there were some backdoor Trojans which were being there. There were some certain programs which were being run within this particular script files. Now that goes unnoticingly, that doesn't go to the notice of the victim, because the primary goal of the victim, I would not say the user once again, The primary goal of this victim is to ensure that he gets a free copy version of the software, installs in the system, and feels happy that, okay, fine, I'm using a software, no worries from me. But actually what he has lost is that the whole credentials of his system, he has lost to that person from whom he has got this particular script. Now, there are some certain, I would say evangelists, who say that, okay, this is the script what we provide to you, pay $1 as a donation to us. And let me tell you, there was one case which came to me just about a couple of months before. There was one guy who just, had a part of a script which he got from the internet and which he installed on his system, thinking that, okay, he has got a legitimate software installed in his machine. And later on, once that software was installed, it allowed him to click onto a link which was there in that script itself. And when he clicked on that link, he went to a site which was somewhere in Japan. And that guy said, okay, I'm so and so, so and so. Can you please pay $1 as a donation to me? And so he clicked on that link, and as a courtesy, he said, okay, if I'm getting a software worth, some thousands of rupees, what does it make me a poorer by paying $1? So immediately he paid $1. And after paying that $1, it so happened that nothing happened to him for 1 month. A month later, he found that his bank account was being exhausted by the tune of 55,000 rupees. Now, what really triggered the event was that because the card details what he used, that card details was misused by that particular person. And in turn, rather than getting $1, he got almost 55,000 Indian rupees into his account. And let me tell you, by the time this matter could be registered, by the time this matter could come to the force, nothing could be done. So I would say, when this matter came to me, I asked him, why did you do it? He said that for few thousands of rupees, I did it, thinking that I have vindicated. But at the end of the day, he got lost. 55,000 rupees was lost from his account, number one. And number two, when we are trying to find out that link, we found that even when the card details were being deleted, still the card details were not getting deleted from the system. And we had to give a standing instruction to the bank later on to ensure that the next time the debit card shall not be used for having these transactions to be done. So I believe that there are certain laid down case studies now in front of the people. And in spite of this, if they have such type of a software to be used in their machine, thinking that they save some few dollars, few thousands, but those scripts in turn are dangerous. They are potential backdoors to your system, where not only taking your confidential data, confidential information from your system, but they can make you potentially financial weaker. And that's the reason I've been telling that use legitimate software, because it is the responsibility of the software vendor, it is the responsibility of the software manufacturer to give you adequate security, and that is their responsibility. So why are you denying that? So if you're getting security for the worth, for the money what you're paying, which is much higher the security what you're getting, it's better to get a legitimate legal software to be installed and be safe, and leave this particular burden on that software manufacturer for any security breaches. They are with you if any security breach do take place.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we'll move to the next question. Can modern devices in any way resolve the security concerns of an organization?
For me, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I think yes, definitely, because I think today's systems are more AI based. And I think with the AI-based systems, we can have a lot of intelligent-based devices to be created, to be made. And I'm sure that, all of the software manufacturers for having their softwares to be published, to be broadcasted, will definitely have AIs, the intelligence management built into the system, and which I'm sure that having this intelligence system to be embedded in the software will give a dual advantage to the people, not only working on a software which is reliable, authentic, but also working on a software which is having security, which is of paramount importance. I would say prevention is better than cure. So let's not wait for the problem to take place. Before the problem could take place, let's prevent ourselves, because we have the cure with ourselves only. So let's not wait for the COVID to come. By the COVID also, we were saying, take precaution, take precaution. Those who never took precaution became a victim. Of course, some of them also became a victim, but then that margin was very less. Those who did not take a vaccine, I think they became more particular, they become more prone to the corona rather than those who have taken the vaccine. I would say that take a vaccine related to a legitimate software, and you would not be prone to any cybersecurity breaches or cybersecurity, hacks in the days to come.
Great, Dr. DeCosta. So I have a question from the audience side. Somebody has put a good question, which I like it. Counterfeit app and operating software appear to work just like a genuine one. Even antivirus solution do not detect any issue with it. In such a case, how can a customer or an organization get impacted or to be at risk while using a counterfeit product?
I would just like to add little humor to it. Whether that antivirus also is a counterfeit or what? Because I think because that brings this one to me, because if it is a licensed version of an antivirus, then I'm sure that it will trigger and it will detect, because the antiviruses also have got their signatures inbuilt. So whenever they find that any type of a spurious or a counterfeit software has been used, I'm sure that they will raise the trigger. They will raise an alert that, okay, there is such type of a spurious or a counterfeit software is there in your system. But yes, 1% of the chance I go with you, and I go with the gentleman who asked this question. If there is any advent wherein, in spite of the best practices you have, in spite of the best of the intrusion detection systems you have, the best of the firewalls you have, still is it possible that okay, both of them work similar and you will not be, the answer is yes. But my perception is that the probability is very less. And where the probability is less, I feel that our effort should go on the masses rather than going on very few, one or two, cases where such type of incidents may do happen. But if it does happen, then yes, organizations are at a higher risk. In fact, I would always say about, my best practice, my best principles, I always insist on telling the people to whom I correlate to, these programs are basically TSR, terminate and stay resident programs. You just have a look at all what are the programs which are running in the background, and I'm sure that the original software and the counterfeit software, the signatures will be vividly different. And there the differences could be noted by the end user itself. So let's not depend all the time on those antivirus and firewall itself. Sometimes we have the decisions at our end itself. If you have got some set of softwares which should be starting at the execution of your system, if there is any type of a program which is different, I think you can make a way that, okay, some alarming signal has to come to your network or it has come to your machine, wherein you can then start taking a precautionary actions.
Thank you, Dr. DeCosta, for enlightening us and joining the Fireside Chat session. And now we'll move to our most crucial thing, that is the Q&A session from our delegates. So we have Mr. K. Prabhakar, President, Conclave ITA, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. So about K. Prabhakar, he's an IT entrepreneur at the age of 24 from small town Chidambaram. In 1994, he started, opened offices in Puducherry in 1997, and in 2007, in Chennai. 27 years of expertise in hardware and software. Prabhakar was also the president of Puducherry State IT Association, now state presidents of Confederation of IT Association, Tamil Nadu and Pondi. Here's a question. What about the common platform for the old as well as the new system? Can I ask, can Nishay can address, or Dr. DeCosta?
Nishay, I think, can take it up.
Yeah. So I'll take it up. So when you talk about a common platform, so see, one thing that you have to understand is as Microsoft, what we are trying to offer to the users. Our perspective is very, very clear. When we talk about users, for us, there are different type of users. There are standard users, which we call as consumers, which let's say people who are sitting on their devices or using their devices for 1 or 2 odd hours. They are using it for social media, email, some kind of content consumption and all those things. And then we have pro users or professionals who are using their devices to get the work done for their businesses. right? For these kind of people, they require specific set of features and tools, and we have tried bringing them onto a particular ground, but it actually fails because they require a specific set of features. So rather than that, what the approach we have taken is, if you see the current version that we have, the OS that we have, they are universal in their approach. You run them on any particular point of or sort of device, and they would work pretty much the same way. If you were operating in the previous edition of Windows, which is Windows 10, and if you are migrating onto Windows 11, it's not an entirely different environment altogether. In fact, what you will see here, there are multiple things which we have taken forward and enhanced in Windows 11. So the idea that we want is sort of what you want, to have a common platform, a common ground for all the users. But at the same time, we will continue to provide additions based on the specific requirement of the sectors. Just like if there are power users or devices which require very intensive computing capabilities. So for that, we definitely have to have some specific features, and that would be there. But yes, having said that, what our also ultimate goal or ultimate aim is to actually create a universal application platform. In fact, coming to that point, in Windows 11, it's not just about Windows application. You can also run the Android applications. And that actually shows our commitment towards bringing in a universal platform that can run multiple tools, whichever are preferred by the user. Hopefully, I have answered that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. So we have a question from Mr. Deepak Bommisetti. He is President, Computer Dealers Association of Nellore District, Sidam. So Deepak Bommisetti is an entrepreneur for a small town, Nellore, in 1998, opened in branch in Tirupati in 2000, managing most of the IT brand stores in Nellore and Tirupati, HP stores, Lenovo stores, and Dell Acer store, etc. Total 7 stores he is. His age of 44, half of his age he has expertise in IT retail. He was also Vice President of South FETA, Federation of All India IT Association. He is actively participating in national OLS issue from 2016 to date FETA. Here's a question. In the market, there are MS Windows OEM packs available ranging from a cost of rupees 500 to rupees 12,000. How do you justify and validate HP these packages?
I'll take this question, and thank you for asking, Deepak ji. Thank you so much. In fact, this is a query that most of the users and people across have. So one thing that I can tell is there are multiple programs that we are doing. Right from trying to address sellers and identifying and blocking those sellers who are infringing Microsoft's sales policies. If they are selling or attaching any kind of counterfeit or not updated or misusing the license in any particular way. So we are engaging with them on multiple platforms. We are sending advisory letters to the government. The government, I think if you know that we have a GEM portal, on that GEM portal, there are requirements and anybody can apply for it. And in that competition, people tend to provide a lot of things ranging from 500 to this amount that you are saying. So the way we have tried to address this is, first strategy is to educate everyone who's floating a tender in government. In private, we are educating the users, the businesses. In consumer road, we are trying to float these kind of influencer talks, which can help users to understand what are the challenges. And this actually becomes very, very important for us, because for us, although you understand that we would love to take a stick and run behind people who are doing this, but there are some rules, regulations, and we do follow. And one thing that we can ensure is these are very much in our sight. We are taking steps time and again with the help of partners like you with us. And we will continue to also include these kind of mechanisms like deactivation of these counterfeits, so that even if the customer doesn't understand, the system can understand and it can notify the user, so that the user can actually go back to the person and he can question them about the validity of it. So we are trying to cover it in a 360 way, but it takes time, and I understand that these are some of the top concerns, and we'll try to address those as per our capacity. But thank you so much for asking, Deepak ji. Thank you.
We have a question from Mr. Mangesh Bhalerao, President, CMDA Pune. Who is heading the government and channel business in Microsoft to discuss on the opportunities?
Okay, so we have multiple we have multiple people, we have multiple Microsoft in itself is a big elephant, in fact. And yes, we do have different teams. In case if you want to connect with any of the team members, we have a particular channel for it. You can write to a particular portal, which is aka.ms/onlygenuine for any particular sort of query on these kind of questions. So there are what it does is this portal actually redirects your query to the relevant teams, because at times even we are not aware who are the right people or right owners of a specific sector or a specific product, because it's a big sector that we are working in. So that link that we shared with you is one of the best places that you can refer to, aka.ms/onlygenuine, and there is a section where you can get connected. So that is what we can refer to right now.
Thank you, Nishchay.
Thank you.
So we have Mr. Hitesh Patani, President, Federation of Information Technology Association, Gujarat. Here's a question like, how, even if data or money is not lost, computing resources can be used by cyber criminals for data mining, which causes resource hogging for users and causes business loss. Will you take this, or Dr. DeCosta will take it?
So I can probably chip in, and then Dr. DeCosta can add his points.
Please.
So the one thing that we have seen is, and in fact, this is in my view, I had a couple of partners and in fact, big companies. I'll not name them because of privacy, but you can understand that they ordered devices for more than 2,000 of their employees at a particular point of time. The first thing that they came back to us was that the devices are not functioning optimally because of the OS upgrade. And we found it very disconnected from the fact that we are aware of. So one thing that we went ahead and we checked is what are the other processes that are running at the backend, because the devices are not functioning that optimally. When we are talking about devices, these are some of the most premium devices, 16 GB RAM, SSD, Intel 10th gen processor that we are talking about. And one thing that we found out that their resources were actually being used for data mining and cryptocurrency mining, because the networks were not secured, because there were certain counterfeit applications. What happened was the cyber criminals. There are groups on dark web and deep web who are actually who are aware of what machines, what network their counterfeit applications are running on. They track those, and they just have to inject codes on internet on your victim devices, and only thing that they have to do is wait and get that cryptocurrency transferred into their digital wallets. And who is suffering at the back end are the users, who think that their machines are working perfectly fine, but in fact they have paid for a premium device. It's like saying you have paid for an Audi, and the machine that you are getting, the device, the performance that you are getting is of that of Maruti 800, which was a couple of years back, a decade back. So that is what one thing, even if it doesn't get your credentials, your device identity doesn't get lost. But having said that, I think these are some of the most uncommon scenarios, and probably Dr. DeCosta can highlight or add on to this.
Yeah, I think Nishchay, what you said, which I think just add just a couple of lines to it. I did mention before also, is that, when the biggest link which happens to have such type of a crime to be orchestrated is that when you get a script to run this counterfeit softwares. So what we have seen during the ground level investigation is that the first link is that when you install the script, these scripts nowadays are made in such a way that when a person is using his crypto account, so these scripts inject a backdoor into the system of the victim, and wherein at a later stage, whenever this user is, suppose this the victim is having a crypto account, so his details are then being used. So that is related from the banking fraud point of view, the fraud point of view. The second thing is that when these backdoors are being injected into the victim's machine, so he is unaware of the fact that is computing resources. There are multiple processes which are running in the background, which his resources are actually now been shared by a third party, which means that now his computer is not only in his custody. He may have the user ID, password, he may have a OTP, whatever it is, whatever the security mechanisms could be there in place, but not aware of the fact that already there is a Chupa Rustom backdoor already hidden into his system, which runs multiple processes in the background. And because of the multiple processes in the background, his computing resources are now being shared, and that to do a activity which is a cryptocurrency, which could potentially be an illegal one also. Because when you deal with cryptocurrency is not only dealt with only from one angle. It is also dealt with buying with some illegal items also. So under that point of view, I would just take a little step ahead. Is not only your computing resources are being shared, misused in a way, but also misused to do an activity which can lead into some serious troubles also. Best way, I think, I have been saying that, and now also I say that the same version is that when you use any software which is a counterfeit or which has its own sort of problems inbuilt in that, avoid it. Because if you don't avoid it, you yourself would become a victim, not only having your computing resources to be shared by multiple processes getting opened into your system, but also your money could be at a big stake if you're having a cryptocurrency account and you're using on that machine, where these details could be shared with a hacker, with a criminal, who can do such type of a malified actions on a dark web, on a dark net, and cause some serious trouble to the person.
Thank you. So we have Tushar Parikh, Chairman, Association of System Integrators and Retailers Technology, Assert, Maharashtra. He has a question. Can you share the scenario on using KMS keys, server activation for privacy can lead to personal data loss? Nishchay, if you can throw some light.
So Tusharji, I think one of the most relevant questions, KMSs are some of the most common trickery that we are seeing for getting these OSs activated or unlocked for that matter. Now, what is a KMS? First thing you have to understand is there is a way. I have a car. For that car, I have a key with me. If somebody gets an exact copy of that key, he will be able to access the car. That is what KMSs are doing. Second thing that they are doing is they are deactivating the sirens that are there in the car. So what happens is, if somebody else is using my vehicle for his own particular purpose, that can be operated by him, and at the same time, the owner who has installed a lot of security systems on different devices will not be updated about this. That is the most layman terms I can tell you about KMSs. KMSs are actually those activators which can actually track using the algorithms. They can actually fill in relevant keys, and then they deactivate the server detection of these keys from the devices. So what happens is the user thinks, okay, I have installed a counterfeit. It is working perfectly fine. It is doing absolutely well. But what he doesn't know is that all the security sirens on his device, they are completely disabled, or at least they are taken care of by some backdoor malicious code. So what this happens is, what this causes is something very funny, when people think that installing counterfeit and with the help of KMSs actually makes their devices just unlocked, and then they can, on top of it, they can install security solutions and then pay for it. So it's just like giving a key to someone, that guy making a key of that copy, and then you on top of it just ensuring that a guard is there who can just figure out that if this key is not with someone, that guard should come back to you and tell you. But this is just the same way. So that's in the most layman terms I can explain you. Probably if Dr. DeCosta wants to add something,
No,
I'll just hand over to you.
No, you have covered up. You have covered up.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. We have a very good questions, and now we will move to the next most exercise session, where I want to invite Mr. Kaushik Pandya, is the president FETA. So to give a overall note, so let me tell about Kaushik Pandya. Kaushik Pandya is an IT entrepreneur for last 32 years, based out in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Starting way back in 1998, having specialized now in cybersecurity and information security, being an ISMS, LA, and NCSS. He is consulting CIO, consulting CISO for many organizations, starting sharing his knowledge. He is also a lead consultant to many SME across India in relevance to the domain. He has very wide experience to head various associations in the past 15 years, and since 2019, he has been leading the Federation of All India IT Association FETA as a president. So welcome, Kaushik Bhai, to share your thought.
Thank you. Am I audible, Deepak ji?
Yes, you are audible.
Fine, thank you. Thank you very much to the people, those who have joined this particular session. It was indeed a wonderful session. Decoding the genuine was a very much in time demand by the channel fraternity, and especially of fighters, and that is the particular reason why we have, we've been always talking about why Microsoft is not able to decode the genuine, but I think Nishal has very rightly answered the queries, which are in the mind of all the fighters. Parallelly, cyber threats have grown many folds, and it is a huge concern today. Before 2 years or 2.5 years, I myself is also a domain expert. So, I always quote this sentence that before 2.5 years, we were behind firewall. Now today, we are all beyond firewalls, and we still have to secure our domains and secure our offices and secure our businesses, secure our personal, capitals. So the challenge is big, and I think today's session on this particular challenge was very informative. India as a country is aiming to come out with a new cybersecurity policy within a very short time period. Government is already working on it, and which may also, bringing some cryptocurrencies regulations also. So I'm glad that this subject is addressed for the fighters on this platform by very, very well subject expert people like Dr. DeCosta and Mr. Rohit. And of course, Nishal was very bang upon, introducing and giving insights on what Windows 11 will bring in for as far as the zero tolerance security aspects to the end users. The questions which has been asked by my colleagues, my fellow presidents from different regions have been a concern, since long, and I think Microsoft needs to be in more interaction with FITA to have more details and more, narrowed down solutions on this. I'm sure that these kind of sessions are helping to all of us. People like Dr. DeCosta and Mr. Rohit are definitely, people known in the field of the cybersecurity. I am, just for the knowledge of the audience, I am an ISMS lead auditor, as well as I am a national cybersecurity scholar also from ISAC, and I've been, in this particular field. So I enjoyed the session thoroughly, and I'm sure that my colleagues, those who have joined from FITA, must have also enjoyed this session very well. I am thankful to, the entire fraternity people, those who have, taken out a long time, and for almost two hours they've joined this session and enjoyed the session well. Thank you very much again. That's it from my side. I believe that one should always stay safe in the case whether it is a pandemic or whether it is a cybersecurity concern. So stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kaushik, for addressing the session. I would like to thank all the audience delegates from various association members, and we have several questions there. On the paucity of the time, we cannot take more questions. I'd like to thank Rohit, Dr. DeCosta, Nischay for enlightening us and how to take precautions and safety measures while you use, whether it is a PC, mobile, or laptop. Stay safe and stay secure. Thank you so very much for joining the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.